Namaste, everyone. Welcome to the Cārvāka podcast. This is Kushalmehra. A lot of discussions have happened around mass immigration in Canada. Different people have different views. Nowadays, Indians seem to be the flavor of the season in multiple ways. In the United States of America, in Canada, there have been some horrific attacks on Indians in Ireland. And we've been following this beat for a while. A lot of rubbish has been spoken as far as the subject is concerned. Not a lot of information being shared. Just on one side, apologia about about everything and anything that gets that's entering Canada is being peddled. On the other side, absolute racist vitriol. And I say this with full responsibility when I say it is racist vitriol has been spewed under the garb of, oh, we're not trying to say this or that. And unfortunately, barely anyone was able to capture this sentiment in a unbiased manner, if I was to say, in a manner which cared about Canada, and also about the the price different communities have to pay after they immigrate to Canada. And I'm very happy to say that somebody actually finally did do a damn good job at it, and that's Sangita Iyer, who's a dear friend of mine, and is a documentary filmmaker. Now, she made a film. I'm going to put it up on the screen over here. As you can see, it's available. You can watch it for free on YouTube. It's on the Metal Films YouTube channel. It's a two-part documentary. The first part is called Canada Unplugged. Part one is called The Perfect Storm of Mass Immigration. And the second part is called Mosaic at a Crossroads, The Future of Multiculturalism in Canada. And it covers the entire subject of mass immigration, the different prospects, the different aspects. So I was like, I saw her YouTube. Might as well troll her on my podcast. So, Sangita, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you, Kushal, for having me.
Yeah, इतनी तारीफ संगीता ने मेरी कभी की नहीं है. ऐसे इतने प्यार से मेरे से बात कर रही है संगीता. So, okay, now on a very serious note, Sangeeta,
Mhm.
I know it, that you are actually working on two, three other different projects, right? And then out of the blue, you decided you're going to work on this project. So let's start there. Why? Because see, you've had documentaries in the past, award-winning documentaries in the past, that have been they've been played and aired in multiple festivals across the globe. So why would you take the pain of making a documentary on immigration when you already had three projects up your sleeve?
So, several reasons, Kushal, right? But I'll start with the one that's most personal. And as you know, I was born and raised in India, and I now call Canada home. So, this film really began with a reflection on two very deeply meaningful concepts from Hindu philosophy, which is Janma Bhumi and Karma Bhumi. And for those who may not know what that means, in Sanskrit, Janma Bhumi means the land of one's birth, while Karma Bhumi refers to the land where one performs their duties and actions. Essentially the place where you build your life, contribute, and grow. So for me, India will always be my motherland, my Janma Bhumi, the place really that shaped my identity, my values, my roots. But then Canada is now my Karma Bhumi, the place where I live, I work, I raise a family, and belong to. So really, this documentary was in part an effort to explore what you just described, that emotional and cultural tension that we've been seeing in the past few years, and how immigrants like myself, we carry deep love for our place of origin, but also for the place we call our Karma Bhumi. We're trying to fully commit and be accepted to our adopted country. And this sense of dual belonging that many people like you and I can relate to, we experience that, and we hope that both lands can coexist within us with respect and dignity. Now, India gave me my identity, and Canada gave me a future. And it was great until, I would say, at least I started noticing the change post COVID. And so, honestly, to answer your question, felt like a moral responsibility to speak up. And the best way I could do that was make a film, because that's what I do best. And as an immigrant who is assimilated, who's contributed, who's embraced Canadian culture while also practicing my faith and culture as a Hindu, it was really painful to witness the rapid decline of this country, due to uncontrolled mass immigration, because of the quality and quantity of people coming in. And you've been a student here, you've been here, you've been a student in Canada, and you've seen how Canada was a couple of decades ago. Indians were always seen as hardworking, family oriented, professionals, doctors, engineers, lawyers. And now we are facing slurs, told to go back, associated with all this chaos that really we didn't create. Canada is a beautiful country. My experience has always been wonderful with the people here. I've been here over 2.5 decades now. And it's starting to feel fractured. And many ordinary Canadians feel like their country is being taken away from there. And we can't really blame how they feel. They're not wrong in the way they feel. So honestly, this film, in a way, was to start a very vital and necessary conversation. So that's a long-winded answer to your question.
If you don't mind me asking this, have you faced any? I'm talking about offline racism. I'm not talking about online racism. Online, तो मुझे लगता है कि everybody comes under our timeline and says, no, that's not. Online racism is not counted in my book. Offline.
Yes. Yeah.
Have you faced anything? Because you've stayed in Canada far more than I have. I have not. So, and even when I did in 2001, too, never faced any racism.
Mm-hmm.
Been living here 6.5, 7 months since 23, 24, now 25. Never faced any racism offline. But this is not to mean that real racism does not happen.
Yes.
I mean, we just had a horrific incident just in Peterborough the other day. And I'm not trying to wash anything under the rug. And in fact, we'll talk about it. But you personally, did you face anything ever?
I mean, yes, I did. Very subtle. It was not, obvious in your face, very subtle. But I also have to say that for the 5 experiences, bad experience that I faced when it comes to racism, I got 5 dozen amazing, kind, compassionate, wonderful people too. So for me, the positive outweighs the negative. And I believe, these kind of, call it racism or any sort of discrimination, it occurs everywhere. I faced that growing up in India. So yeah, I did face racism here. It was very subtle. It was not obvious. But yeah, you deal with it.
So when it is done, like, how do you deal with it? Like, seriously, like, what is your reaction? Like, I'm a very combative person by nature, for those who don't know.
No, I think most people know.
So I don't think I would take it. I take very kindly. I would give it back with interest.
See, if it's direct, it's very easy to give it back, right? But like I said, for me, it was during my journey in the corporate world, because I worked for almost 12, 13, 14 years in the corporate world here. So like I said, it was very subtle. It was not in your face. It was not obvious. Like, you knew it was the reason, but how do you prove it? But yeah, I made decisions where I spoke up, or I've switched careers or jobs. I've been very vocal too. But I always weigh, if it's a battle worth fighting, and you gotta see, is it worth it? So sometimes I put up with it, I put my head down and kept working. Sometimes I've been vocal, and then I felt like, okay, now this is to a point where I can see this is going nowhere. I've switched my jobs to at that time.
Fair enough. Now, when you decided to make this movie on immigration, it's a lot of content. I obviously, being privy to things of your struggles and everything when it comes to making this movie, did anyone from our community help you ever?
Sorry, what community?
Like Indian community, South Asian community.
Sorry, what? Yeah, I got a lot of pat on my back in WhatsApp. But
अच्छा, वो वाला मतलब, अन्ना तुम संघर्ष करो, हम तुम्हारे साथ हैं, मगर संघर्ष अन्ना ही करेगा.
I got honestly a lot of people approaching me to that. You should make a film on this, because like you started off by talking about how Indians across the board are facing racism, and there's no way for them to discriminate between, who came now, who came 20 years ago, who's following. So it's just, that's how racism works, right? So yeah, a lot of people told me, and I thought I would have their support. I tried. As you know, all my projects are self-funded, not for lack of trying. I've applied for grants in the past, and I have not happened to get any grants so far. So I don't know if it's the kind of topics I choose, or if I don't know the right people in the right rooms, because I know grants are being given left, right, and center. But this movie particularly, one, time was of essence. As you know, it was time sensitive. I put my other projects on the back burner because we needed to get it out at a certain time. I didn't have time to apply for a grant because that process is a very lengthy process. And someone recommended to me, I try doing crowdfunding. And that's a full-time job in itself, which I still tried. But yeah, I didn't raise any funds. I was one gentleman who I have never met or spoken to, who donated an amount, which kind of didn't move the needle when it comes to fundraising, but it moved me that this person at least cared to do something. But yeah, to answer your question, no, not really.
So
No
basically,
support.
the entire movie making, the editing process, the painstaking hours that it takes, putting other projects that would actually help you in your career far more than this, which you actually would work on as a movie maker. So basically, you put it all aside, and nobody from our community over here actually reached out to you and helped you in any way.
Mm-mm. There were some who have helped, but some who have also ghosted me and left me. But I'm thankful for whatever little help came my way. But yeah, so far as the organizations go, the groups go, because a lot of these groups and organizations also support like politicians in fundraising and things like that, right? And it would have been nice to get that help, because at the end of the day, this is an issue, I think, for all Canadians. So if you live in Canada, this impacts you. And the fact that if you are a Canadian of Indian origin, then impacts you even more. So I was optimistic, but yeah, unfortunately, I didn't, and it is what it is. I'm glad it's ready and done, and it's been very well received. Some of the comments that I've been receiving for people, I mean, this is what keeps me going, Kushal. It's just, how it is. Sometimes people will take the time to just be kind and nice and say, "Oh, great job, congrats," or whatever. And there's I've had 3-4 paragraphs written by people who are emailing me, messaging me, writing to me, calling me. It has resonated so deeply, and they are so appreciative of the effort that I put in. So I'm very touched by that encouragement for all those who have sent in their comments.
If you don't mind me, like, I always find this bit fascinating, like, because see, anytime when you, as a movie maker or as a documentary filmmaker, this is slightly technical, I guess,
Yeah.
but I just, you have hours of content, hours, right? And like, how do you do justice, right? Because see, what I loved about your documentary was you showed different people, and different people at the different side of the spectrum,
Mm.
from the left to the right of Canada, and you don't put your point of view across at all in the movie. So how do you make that? How does that process work? That's what I'm more interested in.
Yeah, thanks. I'm so glad you picked up on that, Kushal, because when I started to make this, first of all, um, there was a lot of firsts for this film. Like, this topic was completely out of my comfort zone, at least when it comes to filmmaking. I'll have discussions with friends. I'll put my comments on social media and give my 2 cents. But making a film is a whole different ballgame. And it demands a deeper level of commitment, extensive research, finding credible speakers and balanced voices, because it's a deeply sensitive subject. And I wanted to make sure that I approach it with fairness and integrity. And I had to be very careful in how I present a different perspective, because I wanted to be objective. But I wanted diversity in the true sense. So I wanted diversity in the kind of people that we are choosing to speak. I wanted different provinces. I wanted different ethnicities, different experiences, which is what I went for. as you see. And unfortunately, there were also some others who had agreed to be part of the film, but at some point pulled out. It was too late for me to replace them because, like I said, it was a very time sensitive project. But I had somebody from the Muslim community. I had somebody who was a student. I had somebody from the Chinese community, and also an indigenous community member. And unfortunately, they could not participate. They had agreed before and they pulled out. But that was my goal. And if you see, I tried to pick different provinces too. And if you see their viewpoints in the film, they are very different. Some are opposing each other, as you see. And I wanted to give that voice to everyone. I'm very good at compartmentalizing myself because I have my own opinions. I don't agree with everything that all the speakers say, but I'm very good at putting that aside and say, okay, this is their opinion, this is their view, and this is their space. I will not try to, impose my feelings and how I feel about them. And I was very respectful of each speaker. I had to make sure that I am doing a very honest and fair job of. See, I had 10 to 12 hours of only interviews. That's a lot of content to go through, and I had to make sure that I represent every speaker honestly, fairly. And I mean, in my opinion, I did that. I was very fair in how I showcased each and every one of them very respectfully. And documentaries are basically a point of view. We call it POV, point of view. These are their point of views. They are different point of views, and it's okay. That's how you have conversations. So I tried. I have not made a film like this before. It's all about usually education, animals, or environment. These are my three go-to topics. So this, like I said, was out of my comfort zone, and I was nervous about. I hope I'm doing the right job. My concern was when the speakers see themselves. I hope they feel that I was fair in representing them. So that was my only concern, and it was not easy. But
So, like what I meant honestly was that, like, how does one decide what goes in, what goes out? Because at the end of the day, no matter what we say, we're not going to please everyone, no matter what
no.
kind of a product we make, right?
Mhm.
No matter how much we try to keep ourselves out of it. For example, like I host this podcast.
Mhm.
I always clarify to everyone that podcast is not an interview. I have a point
Mhm.
of view, and if I feel I have to speak for 7 minutes nonstop on a podcast, I will.
Mhm.
I clarify these things. Like, so how did your speakers that eventually made it to like, because look, I've been following some of them personally. They are all over the place, right? If people came to their Twitter timelines, they will find out that they to fight with each other also. So so how do you manage that? Because that's a very tough line. For me personally, like, I have struggled as a content creator.
Yeah.
I'll share my own personal view. This is now what, probably 8 years now in, and there are times, right, like guests that come on my podcast, they don't like each other.
Okay.
Like, I don't know how to deal with that. I'm like, bhai, mere ko kya lena dena, kind of. My answer is I don't know. It is like la 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 la.
Yes.
Like, I just ignore it. So, like, do you follow my strategy or do you have your own strategy?
Well, see, in my case, luckily, all that fighting and everything, whatever is happening, was not happening when I was filming. So that was a good thing. The other thing is, I don't know if with your podcast, if you have like multiple guests and they don't like each other, yeah, that's a tough one. But I was not interviewing all of them together. It was individually, right? So it was one on one, one on one, one on one. So I didn't have that overlap in that sense. And post the movie, I mean, on a lighter note, I was saying that if this were a Bollywood film instead of a documentary, the hype that my film would have got if I had, like, if you imagine two actors in a film which is just releasing or release and they are fighting with each other, can you imagine the hype the film would have gotten? Mine didn't, unfortunately, but that's a tough one. But I believe they are mature, they are adults, and if they've decided that they disagree on something and they want to hash it out, that's between them. I step out of that, right? Because that's not my argument to enter. So yeah, I kept myself out of it because what am I going to do? Like, pick a side? I can't do that, right? They each have their own perspective, and yeah.
Fair enough. Now, on the movie bit,
Mm.
now a lot of part one, from what I understood, was actually educating people about what really happened.
mm,
because I don't think people understand how bad things got in Canada in the last 5 years. I think most people don't really have an idea of, let's say, a country was having 200,000, 100,000 people coming in, and then suddenly post COVID, a sea of humanity just comes in. Like, uh,
mm,
well, let's say in Indian terms, you have in 10 years, you have uh, a million people coming in, hypothetically,
mm.
and then a million people come in 3 years. So the entire system, everything, it will have that kind of an effect. So let's focus a little bit of that. Like, what did you learn? Did you know this was happening before starting to make the movie?
Nope. No, 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 no. As I took a deeper dive, and I am a research geek, I love researching, and I think sometimes I joke with my family too that that PhD that I was supposed to complete, it never happened because I moved, and I take out all that angst I have about doing a PhD. In each movie for me is like a mini thesis. Honestly, I do the research, and no, I didn't. Every movie of mine, Kushal, has been a learning for me. That's what is most fascinating for me about this journey. And I started, the way I started research was I started with the policy. I started speaking to people who were already talking about this. So the very first person was Darshan Bhai that I spoke to, because he's been talking about this topic for a very, very long time and writing about it. And then I started to look up people who were, on Twitter, on social media. I tried to look at statistics, which is like your favorite thing. I've learned that from you. I started to look up articles, and the more I started to read and find out, the more shocked I was. I didn't know most of it. I did not know most of it. So I have learned a lot myself, as I was researching in the last whole year. A lot of learning for me, and that is actually a consistent feedback that I've been getting from people I know who have watched the film. I have written to me saying, "Oh my God, we didn't know this. We learned something new." That has been a consistent message I have received from dozens of people.
Has this process changed your view on immigration conceptually? It's a very important. I'll share my view with you. No problem at all. But
Mhm.
like,
On immigration, no, but the type of people that are coming in, and I believe that immigration is still necessary and important, but it's the quality and quantity of people you're bringing in. To me, that has set the difference between, I would just like to say, pre-COVID era and say post-COVID era for the sake of simplicity. So I'm not anti-immigration, but I'm not also pro how immigration has been handled in the last few years. I don't know. Does that answer your question?
yeah, so let me share my view. As
Mm,
far as mass immigration is concerned, my view is very clear. I have often said this line: immigration is a privilege, not a right. People often
mm,
confuse one with the other.
yeah,
Any country, whether they like it or not, they get to decide what kind of a product, because a human being is also a product at the end of the day
mm,
for a country.
mm,
What they want to enter, it's on the country.
mm,
Um, so policies were made by, so if I was a Canadian politician, and I have a system where I have healthcare, uh, population blocks, real estate capacity.
mm,
Let's say if my real estate capacity is give or take anything between 200 250,000 new people can be accommodated, I would never allow more than 150,000 every year in Canada. Will not allow more than that. That's my point of view.
mm,
In that, I would only allow people who are needed. Let's say if Canada needs, now what I studied was Canada is going to have a boatload of um, you know tradesmen that are going to be getting out of the jobs market, because
mm,
the boomers are going to
yeah,
retire,
yeah,
and we're going to have a huge problem here in Canada by 2032. A lot of people are just going to vacate the job market.
yeah,
So what are you planning to do then? So I think an immigration policy should actually be planning 10 years in advance, and looking at these things and maybe doing that. So that's how I would say, like, getting 500,000 people in every year, I just don't understand. I did not know that student visas did not need police clearance
yeah,
certificates. That was insane. Like, I did not know this until I moved here, and because I got a police clearance certificate myself. I
mm,
got it for myself when I immigrated here. And to know that students don't need police clearance certificates, then all these kind of weird scams that happen in Canada. And I was like, wow. So, like, my view on immigration definitely is maybe more hard line
Mm.
than the average Canadian. I think the average Canadian is way more lenient on immigration. My view is that it should serve the purpose of Canada.
Of course.
And here's the catch now. Now, why I'm sharing this is, I think the Canadian politicians, that's the line they were giving.
Hmm.
Now they've all flipped, Sangita. But as you show in your movie too, they were all saying that we need all these human beings here.
Mhm.
So, do you think that the average person's anger in this entire process, instead of being on the politician, they can't do anything to the politician, so they take it out on the easiest low hanging fruit, that is the new immigrant?
Yes. I mean, unfortunately, not all new immigrants are bad, but there are also some bad apples, as we've shared, that have come in through these. It's so easy. It's so easy to exploit the system. It's so easy to cheat the system. And because of that percentage of people, all the immigrants are getting a bad name. And it's just sad because everyone's been painted with the same brush. Everybody. So you have those who have scammed the system and come in as students when we know they're not students. They're not even showing up to colleges. You see the rise in crime everywhere, and they end up being students. Then you have students who have committed suicide, unfortunately, and who were scammed by the whole system. It's such a mess. It is such a mess. And I think through the movie we wanted to send the message that we need to start holding those who are accountable for this situation versus fighting with each other and blaming each other and blaming the new immigrants. Hold those who are accountable for this situation, and we all agree on who's accountable. We need to start asking those questions to the government. And honestly, the intent to make this film, I wanted to get it out before the elections to get this conversation going. But originally, the elections was scheduled for fall of 2025. And so I thought, oh, I have a lot of time to figure this out and get this out. I wanted to do screenings and all, and then put it on YouTube. And then Mr. Trudeau resigned. And then Mr. Carney called an early election, and I was like, oh my God, I have no time. So I had to rush through this whole process, and that in itself was such a challenge. So I still couldn't get it out before the April elections, but I guess this topic has just not taken a breath. Like every day you open social media, says something new happening under immigration. I have messaged Darshan Bhai and others, like I can't keep up. I have changed the opening of my film so many times because of the dynamic nature of this topic. Every 4 days, 5 days, are like, oh my God, what I had in the film last week is already feeling old now. Let me change this and bring this new information in. So that's so that's what it is right now, and I don't think it's going anywhere. It's not been fixed. I mean, we keep hearing slogans, but we need more than slogans. And I hope people start questioning their local politicians, start having conversations, start having discussions, because this situation is really bad right now.
But why do you think, in this entire discussion, first of all, I'm really glad that you gave ample amount of time to the human side and the human cost of this problem of mass immigration, where I think there is a very giant segment in your part one where you talk about student suicides,
Mhm.
international students coming here. Lotus Funeral Home is in Brampton.
Yeah.
Anybody who does not trust me, go to Brampton Lotus Funeral Home. Go ask the Sardarji who runs that place, and he'll
Mhm.
tell you every month students are committing suicide.
Yeah.
Body bags are being sent back to India.
Yes.
Ask the consulate. And थोड़ा बहुत शोर हुआ इधर उधर जब हम जैसे
No, you
बच्चों
don't
ने
even
किया.
see it in the news.
So why do you think the political class of Canada that is responsible for this primarily?
Mhm.
Secondary are the immigration agents in court,
Yeah.
in the fraudulent immigration agents, because there are good immigration agents also.
Yes. Yes.
The frauds both in Canada and India,
Mhm.
who have, for their petty gains, destroyed these kids' lives. Three, these Canadian colleges and diploma mills. Greedy people,
Mhm.
absolute third-rated greedy people who for money have destroyed lives. They have all blood on their hands.
Mhm.
Why do you think nobody talks about that?
That's a great question. I don't know why. And if they are talking, I don't know if they're just talking among themselves. I hear a little bit of noise on social media, but I don't think it's enough. Like they are talking about it because the people I have come across do talk about it. I don't know if they're talking enough. I think more has to be done. They have to be questioned. There's no laws. No one is getting. There's these are criminals, right? Canadians have to demand more from the government, and I don't know how much talking on social media helps, because that's where I've seen. And I know CBC also made a documentary on the topic, and they have, I think, interviewed people in Lotus Funeral Home. There was an article written there too, and I did not know until I saw that. I was shocked because this is not out in the news. This is not out there. So I don't know why they are not discussing this. Why it's under the carpet. I don't know what can be done other than people need to start asking questions. People need to start reaching out to their local politicians and demand accountability. I don't know if they're doing that, but what little is happening on social media is not enough. I don't know if you have any suggestions about what can be done.
Well, it first of all, it shows them in bad light
Mm,
that in the last 4 to 5 years, this country, Canada, has been guilty of probably the largest human trafficking scandal in the last few years, last known history to us as humans, where girls have been sexually molested because of mass immigration. Students have been living in substandard housing
mhm,
because of mass immigration. Crime, because criminals use the student visa program to enter Canada because of mass immigration.
mhm,
And all these problems have led to what? Like, 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 what did we achieve by doing all of this? I have shared that slide so many times where if you look at the prison
mm.
statistics of Canada, Hindus are the bottom,
Yes,
0.3%.
yes,
Sikh, the Sikh community is 0.8%, just above us.
yes,
Even Japanese Canadians have more criminals
yeah,
than Hindu and Sikh Canadians. Japanese are the most docile people I've
yeah.
known. Okay. So that is the prison reality of Canada in terms of crime committed. Same in
Mhm.
UK, same in the
Yeah,
United States of America.
yeah.
Nothing has changed. Hindu, Sikh community, the Indian
Mm.
community.
Yes.
The population, everybody knows Hindus are 2.3%, Sikh Canadians are 2%. Overall, sab kuch mila ke, people of Indian origin are around 5.5%, and South Asian communities like 7 to 8%.
Mhm,
Now, these people, my problem with this entire process is that this is the actual data.
mhm,
I didn't come up with this data. I mean, it's there since the Harper government to the Carney government.
mhm.
It's not like मैं बैठ के उनको पैसे खिला रहा हूँ. ए, data change कर. I'm not doing any scam. I am just downloading what is available in Stats Canada, reading it. Same thing. I started looking at, fatalities across Canada. Same thing. Then I started looking at the minor data, like stuff like offenses. Who commits offenses?
Mm.
Lo and behold, I found out 90% of the times it is the same person committing the offense again and again and again and again and
Yes.
again. This is
Well,
like one guy who had committed 52 offenses.
yes.
वो बाहर निकलता है सुबह, वो बेल लेता है शाम को, क्या पता नहीं करता है, फिर he does the crime again. It's as if he has full time pass, and
Oh,
they keep bailing him out because
yes.
the system over here is as such. Again, it's a bad policy. Like, अरे भाई, he has committed something 10 times, now at least keep him in jail. They're like, no, बाहर भेजो. And then because the face is A type, they are typecasting the entire community over here. So
Yes.
how does one grab? It doesn't mean our community does not do bad things or wrong
Yeah.
things over here. I am not being an apologist for the community over here.
No.
If the community does something wrong, like for example, I'll tell you stupid things our community has done. 2 years ago, fireworks at Westwood Mall and what
Oh,
went down over there. Like,
we've shown
I
that
didn't
in
like
the
it,
film. Yeah.
and I'm glad it got shut down. Downtown Toronto, what was done, and
Yeah.
I'm glad people were punished and it got shut down.
Yeah.
But those are random incidents. Like, you
Mm.
don't take an anecdote and you make it a reality, right?
Mhm.
So how do we do that as a community? Like, how do you educate people that anecdata and real data are not the same thing? Like, you go on your timeline, everybody's like, why I'm saying this is, Sangita, Indian hate
Mm.
is the flavor of the season.
Yes, unfortunately.
It's the flavor of the season. You go on the internet, you hate Indians, you get clicks.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because Indians give back in return, because Indians speak English. So
Yeah.
they're like, "Tu mujhe गाली दे रहा, आजा बेटा इधर, अब मैं तुझे देखता हूँ." Because see, before this, when the Russians were hated and the Chinese were hated, na, they did not speak that much English. So they're like,
Yeah.
"तुम भौंको, हमको क्या करना है?"
Yeah.
They could not give it back. Indians
Yeah.
are like, "Nah, I understand. Now you get back with interest." And Indians sitting in India also speak English. So
Yes.
they are also fighting. Indians here are also fighting. So how, while the reality is very different, so how do we deal with this?
See, ek to yaar, the justice system, right? Like, even if the laws are in place, like the judges are too lenient. Like the example you give, these criminals have no fear of the law at all. They know they'll commit some big crime and they'll be out on bail the next day. So that has to change. Also, they are so considerate towards people who have applied for PR and are waiting for their PR or are here on temporary visa. अगर वो crime commit कर रहे, if they are committing a crime, वो उनके लिए और lenient हो जाते. Why? I don't understand. Like, deport करो. If you are coming here and you are committing a crime, I mean, I do not understand. I think the laws are in place. From what I understand, it's the judges. It's in their hands. I don't know why they are so soft on criminals, and that really has to change. See, there was a time, I feel Canada, that I know, I love, was based on this honor system. Everybody had this sense of, ye galat hai, we shouldn't do this, and everybody did the right thing, right? That has changed now. So again, I don't know if it's the quality of people coming in. That has changed now. These are the type of people, they don't believe in that honor system. It was a very, very high trust society. That we have lost that now, honestly. I hope we can revive that, but that high trust society is gone. And when trust is gone, it's very hard. And that's what's happened right now. So now the kind of people who are committing crimes are those who are like, वो उनको क्या इंडिया में नहीं, that's the treatment they get in India. Like, they don't understand this soft, high trust, honor system. They need the penalty. I'm sorry. So the kind of crime they are committing, they shouldn't, the judges shouldn't be so lenient towards them. And why give this? You see road accidents. I'm talking about the trucking industry. I'm talking about other road accidents where people have died, innocent people have died, and these people have just walked away because apparently it will impact their permanent residence.
Yeah, so that I
What is
wanted to ask you about that. Yeah, what kind of a Vahiyat system do we have here?
it? Is why
Because somebody's immigration status will get impacted, so their
yes,
sentence is reduced, while a
yes.
normal Canadian would get a larger, higher sentence. Like, how does one justify these
No,
absolutely lunatic rules
it
that the
is.
Canadian courts come up with?
In fact, these people should directly deported. Forget lenience. It should be harsher, I would say. I'm sorry. Even if when you hear about break-ins, these are things we never heard of before. Auto theft, break-ins. I mean, there were times when I know would have forgotten to close the garage door or lock the front door, and I never worried. Now I check it 5 times. Why has that changed? And I think a lot of people have spoken to feel that way too. And here's the beauty. If someone breaks into your house and if you obviously fight them in self-defense, you get arrested. You What is this? I do not understand this. There is no logic and no sense in this. So you are not supposed to protect yourself or your family if someone breaks into your house. I do not understand this. What is this legal system? So I think with time, policies have to change, and maybe there has to be change at a policy level, that the government has to look into and say, you know what, this worked until 5-10 years ago, but this is not working right now, and they need to rewrite policies if needed. They need to figure out, speak with the judges, or I don't know, that this needs to change. This is very frustrating. That's where all this resentment, hate, racism is all stemming from that. It's people are frustrated, people are tired. You know, people not assimilating. Chalo, wo to fir bhi forgivable. You can teach people, but you committing crimes and nothing is happening to you. You go on living and you go and commit another crime, third crime, fourth crime, and you're out. So of course people are upset. People are upset. There are no jobs. Housing is an issue. You don't feel safe in your own
But
home.
Sangita, these laws existed on the statute books even before the mass immigration happened.
Well, but we didn't see this kind of crime happening before.
That's the whole point. The only reason is the system could not bear the shock of the number of human beings that came in.
Yes, but I also believe it's not just numbers. It's also I always believe it's also the quality of people that are coming in. The
See,
quantity
other
and
than the
quality.
one motion that Darshan Maharaja mentions in
Yes, I didn't know
your
about that.
yeah, M4 144, or M44,
40,
whatever that
yeah.
number is, that disaster. And by the way, I want to remind everyone, every single political outfit of Canada voted for it unanimously.
Yes.
And for those fans, I just want to remind you, Pierre Poilievre also voted for it, even if he was not the leader of the opposition. Pierre Poilievre fans, he was a member of parliament. Now don't come back and say, but the whip decides. The whip decides. I don't care. Every single member of parliament of Canada voted for it. They were all guilty.
Right.
So they were all guilty. And I want you guys to go and watch the documentary so that you know what M44 is, what it did to Canada, how it destroyed the lives of both students and the old immigrants staying here. Now, another thing I want to spend. So, as an Indian, it's the reality is that Indians have become an easy excuse because they are larger in numbers over here.
Yes.
They are the least violent community by a country mile in this country. They are literally the least. And my source is this country's data, not any outside data. This country's data. My source is that. But such is the social media algorithm that whatever we click on keeps coming up on our timeline. Yes. I always tell people, right? I tell if you're in Canada, create 2 Twitter handles or X handles. In one X handle, only follow liberals. In the other handle, only follow PPC and conservative accounts. The PPC and conservative people will show you different ways of how immigrants are doing everything wrong in life. And in that, they will find unique ways of blaming Indians for everything. I have to give them credit. They find new ways every day. So kudos to them for that. When you go on the liberals, they will find unique ways of blaming the white man for everything. The reality is, whatever you click, you see. That's the reality. How do we educate people? And now I want to talk about something that has really gotten to me personally. Now there is a new flavor of the season. By the way, nobody talks about a giant ass murti that is outside the GTA. वो बिचारी वो वाली मूर्ति को कोई पूछता ही नहीं है. वो साइड में बैठी हुई बोलते हैं भाई मेरे लिए भी तो कोई प्रॉब्लम करो. वो क्योंकि GTA के बाहर है, वो किसी की आंखों में आई नहीं. So there are 3 murtis, right? Last year, first one was the Hanumanji Murti in Hindu Sabha Mandir. Then we have the Sri Ram Murti and the Shivji Murti. Right. Now people have found new ways to outrage about that. They are imposing their culture on us. Bhai, मेरे को एक संगीता एक बात बताओ. Hindus don't even proselytize. Yeah. Imposing the first precondition of any kind of imposition of a culture, Sangita, is if I go and say, I need to save you. You are going to hell. The only person who imposes that on us over here is the proselytizing culture. The Jews don't do it to us. We don't do it to anyone, just like the Jews. So what is the baseline? Have they broken any zoning laws? No. Have they followed every law? Yes. But now such is the flavor of the season. Now even our murtis are a problem. We are following every law. We can't even practice our faith in this country. Is that the message now?
Yeah. And to add to that, there's one more coming up, Radha Krishna. So be prepared in September. I heard there's a big Radha Krishna. So there's more coming our way. But, I feel, Kushal, this is all coming, even when racism, if it's left unaddressed, right? It undermines trust, and that's what I've said, that this used to be a high trust society, and it's just all fractured now. It has weakened democracy, and mass immigration obviously has been managed very poorly by the government. So now it has increased these divisions, that because of the economic pressure, because of the cultural anxiety. So this is a result of all that. This is a backlash of all that. I don't even think, and I don't know if it's more on social media. I come across people, and I have not heard these things, but yeah, I hear a lot of this on social media with all the hate against the murtis and all. And I like you, I am a believer of freedom of thought. So if we think we have the freedom, and yes, it's self-funded on private property built by the community, they take pride in doing these things. It's for them, it's come from a space of faith. Same way they have the freedom of thought to express how they are feeling, right? They are not happy with it, they don't like it, they can express their feelings. i respect
That's
i
fine.
respect both.
That's fine. You can think that the murti is ugly
Mm.
aesthetically. You think it is the devil incarnate. Whatever you want to think. Don't tell me I can't have it.
Mm.
Then either say that you are a bigot and you don't believe in freedom and you're not for any freedom based principle, whether on the left or the right. Then say it openly. I am a bigot. I want a white nationalist Christian nation, and all of you should go out.
Yeah,
I don't mind that. Then be open about it.
but some are like a lot of these don't support multiculturalism. They don't support the multiculturalism policy. Didn't want multiculturalism. It was pushed on them. So a lot of these actually believe what you just said. But I mean, like I said, that all is coming down as hate on Indians. Now it's just any little thing we do is, I just keep telling people that I think Canada has much bigger problems than a very, a Hindu community is like, I don't know, we don't do anything, Kushal. We are like the softest community. And these murtis are the least of your concerns. I mean, they need to get their priorities straight. Canada has much bigger issues. They need to focus on that, and they are distracting. And I don't know if it's like on social media, a lot of people get a lot of followers, a lot of clickbait based on these kind of comments, right? You see that too. It's extreme comments, and but the murtis are the least of their concerns with what's going on in Canada.
No, so writing, all sorts of nasty graffiti
Mm,
outside Hindu temples in Canada is fine. That's clearly Canadian
yeah.
culture, I guess.
No, that the politicians don't speak up against that. We've seen
Name
that.
name one case where it's been done.
No,
Never,
no, no, no,
never.
no.
So taking sticks inside, beating devotees inside a Hindu temple in Brampton clearly is Canadian culture now. Um, you know, uh, my point is that you either are a principled person or you're not.
Yes, yes.
And I'm not going to back off. Like
Mm-hmm.
you expect me to cover that murti? No, I will make one more.
Mm-hmm.
I'll follow the law. You change the law, then I will think whether I want to live in this country or not. You change the law. But if I'm not breaking any law, you cannot tell me the
Mm-hmm.
fundamental right I have is the freedom of religion. You don't tell me how I practice my religion if I'm not breaking any law and trampling over your rights.
Right,
You don't tell me what I'm supposed to do then.
right.
I'm not telling you that, your religion is this, or because my religion taught me that all religions are nice.
Well, see, we came from a country where I mean, when you think of Indians are in India. We have Hindus and Muslims and Christians and Parsis and you name it, right? And I remember growing up, celebrating all festivals. I didn't learn, about a Christmas tree or Christmas after coming to Canada. We celebrated Christmas back in
And if we
India
had a
too.
Christmas holidays, yeah,
We still
Sangita, in
do, yeah,
India,
Christmas
we
holidays.
still have Christmas holidays in
Yeah,
India.
we do. We
We have
celebrate.
more Christians in India than these guys have in Canada.
I
That's
learned
the
from
worst
you.
part.
That I learned from you. I had no idea. I know we had a lot of Christians, but I did not know we had more Christians in India than in Canada. I mean, the biggest Jesus Christ statue
Yeah,
is in
is in
India,
India.
and we embrace that. I mean, I do not understand, and this was not there before. I'm telling you, this all has started happening in the last 4 or 5 years, or I don't know if it's just Twitter the way it is, because I find all this hate out here on X, not so much on other platforms. So I
No,
don't know.
see, in real life, what happens is it takes a different level of psycho
Yeah.
to come and tell you in real life.
Yeah.
So, anonymity of the internet gives people the freedom to spew all sorts of rubbish. And I honestly, I don't mind saying this, that
Mm.
most of most of these people, they just all of it just stems from resentment. Yes, there might be issues. Yes, there might be issues of integration when it comes to first generation immigrants. I'm
Yes.
taking all those points in. That's not an unsolvable problem. you
Mm.
you find people who break norms of Canada and you solve the problem. It's
Yeah.
very simple.
Yeah.
It's not rocket science, but this is pure unadulterated hatred and
Mm-hmm.
racism.
Mm-hmm.
It's nothing else.
Yes,
it's
it
it's
is.
nothing else. And it's not gonna, you know and how, okay, another question I want to ask is, like, I have been very critical of many things our community does over here, many
Yes.
things. You've also been critical in the documentary on some aspects of the community,
Yes.
right? Now, the moment we do that, our community starts saying, "Oh, tum to Uncle Tom ho,
Yes.
tum Goro ke brown sahib ho, tum brown sahib."
Yeah. Yes.
So how do we handle that bit? Like, I know you're going to be critical because you are a fair person. You
Yeah.
showed our community also does shady shit over here.
Yes.
So how do you tackle that Uncle Tom, Brown Sahib, enabler thing? Because they'll be like, अरे जब रेसिस्ट आएगा ना तो तुम्हारी शक्ल नहीं देखेगा, वो तुमको भी पेलेगा.
वो पेलता है. I mean, pelta hai. It's not like they don't do that. But I'm good at, like, this is all noise to me. I'm come at that age and stage of my life where I can totally ignore the noise. So maybe 20 years ago, it would have been hard for me, but this is all noise for me. I will say what I say, and I feel sometimes when you approach life with integrity, with honesty, and, you are what you are, publicly and privately. I am not two people like many are. Then you know what, your circle of friends reduces, and that's okay with me. Okay, but I will say what I feel. It's true, like when it comes to this assimilation and integration, I am seeing more and more people who have newly immigrated. Now I don't know if these are students or people on PR. I cannot look and say, but I am seeing Canadians used to take a lot of pride in taking care of their properties, their lawns, the garbage. There's a way, there's a method to do things over here. You see, lawns are unattended. There are like 10 cars parked in the driveway over the grass. The garbage bins are overflowing. What is this? It makes me mad too when I see all that. So okay, you didn't know that. Okay, not everyone comes from the same kind of background or understanding or experiences. Maybe they are very young, they've come from smaller towns. I came here, I didn't have to learn that, oh, garbage needs to be thrown in a garbage bin. I learned that back home. My parents taught me. You always said please and thank you. Again, that was not something new I learned here. But okay, let's say you don't know any of that, but make an effort to learn. You look around, you learn. They don't want to, they can't be bothered. One other thing that bothers me, the honking. I used to never hear honking in Canada, and now I feel like, what is going on? Like, you go to Brampton and it's like honk honk honk, and they're driving like they drove back in India. Like, if it irritates me, imagine somebody who's been here for generations. So those are the things that bother me too. That, learn. If you don't know, learn, assimilate, learn about the culture, get to understand how, what these values are. It's not hard, it's not rocket science. But if you don't want to, like the chaos you talked about during Diwali, we have so celebrated Diwali for years now, and look what they did. It just taken away from the whole essence of Diwali. They're fighting with each other. They make a mess, they don't clean up. And now the entire Indian community, has a bad name. So yeah, there are some bad apples in our community too, and I'm sorry, they have to buckle up. It's not okay. You have to, no please, thank you, so rude. You're driving on the streets too. I love those things about Canada. It's gone. Like, people gave people, people thank people. It was so nice, polite, caring of other people. It's just slowly I see it's gone away. I mean, maybe in small town it still exists, but those little things, those nuances are not hard to learn. So I don't know, maybe our community has to do better. But it's not just our community, mind you. These are all new immigrants. I'm not narrowing it down to just Indians. Maybe people who have been here longer have to do a better job, but maybe the government can do a better job of I don't know, educating them on these things. They're not. So it's all a mix of all this. Now it's now any little thing that happens, people are upset. So it's come to, I think it's come to that tipping point where people can't take it anymore. They lost all patience, and now it's coming out in this form. So I feel like the legal system really needs to be looked at. If the laws are in place, then something needs to be done with the judges. Like that's a big one in terms of crime, and they really need to like now put a stop to him. They need to deport all the people who have come frauded the system and come here. But then I think they've also lost track of so many. They don't know where they are. I forget the number, but we shared that in the film. There's so many people that they don't know where they are. They can't keep track of that. So illegal immigrants.
So on the multiculturalism issue, now
Mm.
here's my answer, and this was the only criticism that I had of the entire film.
Yeah.
I feel this whole ghettoization issue is slightly overrated.
Mm.
And let me explain my point of view. You go to Vaughan, not far from here, Sangita.
Mm.
There is a ghetto there too.
Yeah.
It's just Italian.
Mm.
Then there are certain areas where you have Polish ghettos.
Yeah.
There are certain areas where you have Irish ghettos,
Chinese.
Chinese ghettos.
Yeah.
It's human nature to congregate around the people they know.
Yes.
Eventually, what happens is when you have too many,
Yeah.
and you don't filter the people coming in, then eventually, you will have a situation where people may not speak the language in a certain way.
Mhm.
I'm just saying.
Mm.
But one question, Sangeeta, nobody wants to ask. How many of, let's say, Sangeeta, in your case, your children, or in my case, my wife, end up living in these so-called ghettos? They move out.
Mm.
Who stays in the ghetto is a question that everybody needs to ask.
Mhm.
Who stays in the ghetto is actually the first generation one. Because when you come from another country, another world,
Yeah.
you have to understand you're a fish out of water.
Mhm.
You need a support system. You need someone to hold you. So you need a temple. You're already stressed and depressed.
Mhm.
A lot of these kids who came 5 years ago sold their land, property, 30
Yeah.
lakhs, 40 lakhs. I've told you so many stories of Uber drivers who I've
Yes.
met. And these things matter.
Yes.
So to say, oh, these people come and just live in Brampton. अरे भाई तो किधर रहेगा? तेरे सर पे रहेगा क्या?
Yeah.
They need to come. They need some orientation when they come.
Yes.
Where we are failing as a community is, my criticism of our community is, there need to be more programs about
Yes.
IO, small things. I did not know कि ऐसा दरवाजा खुला पकड़ के रखना होता है. I'm being very honest. नहीं करते थे भाई, हम नहीं करते थे इंडिया में.
Hmm.
I learned that in 2001 when I moved to Canada.
Yes.
कैसे दरवाजा खुला रखना होता है. Let me break something to people. In India, there are so many people. If I open the door, I am opening it for the rest of my life. Okay? So spare me. Okay? There are too many people in India. हम दरवाजा खोलेंगे तो वो घुसते ही जाएंगे. वो कभी खत्म नहीं होगा. समझो? Problem समझो. Practical है भाई. And I had to let my frustration out in my language. Ki, they don't hold doors. Abhe, dekhe log kitne hain India mein? They don't hold doors. You hold the door in Mumbai. I want to see you hold the door in Mumbai. So, what nonsense.
But Kushal, the point is you learned. That's the point.
Yes, I learned.
Yes.
So criticize wo karo na. Don't criticize. Why are you in a ghetto? Where does that kid go?
Yeah.
Tell me, where does that kid go?
See, but it's also the local level. Like there are bylaws in place, and obviously, it again comes down to the government. They are allowing 20 people to live in a basement. They are allowing this illegal housing to happen. It's not possible this is happening without their knowledge. How are they allowing that? 10 कार बाहर खड़ी है. How are they
तो
allowing
वही
that?
ना. So why are they allowing that? ये भी हमारी गलती है. ये भी हमारी गलती है. And this entire ghetto argument is fraudulent. I don't agree with it. There are ghettos everywhere in this world. Go to freaking New York. There are Jewish only areas. Yeah. Toronto downtown में Jew only areas नहीं है जहाँ पे सिर्फ यहूदी रहते हैं.
Ghettos तो पहले से थे, even when we came there.
You cannot stop ghettos.
No.
My point is you cannot stop ghettos.
No.
You know where the ghettoization stops?
Mm-hmm.
Is the second, third generation.
Yeah.
Who become like either your kids or my wife. They move out.
Mm.
They don't stay in the ghetto. You know why? The beauty is they only don't relate to those people.
They,
They're like, chalo bahar.
they don't.
That's the reality.
Yeah.
So and to everything, just blame everything on the person coming in. Then okay, fine, ताला लगा दो अपने देश को.
Yeah.
ताला लगा दो भाई, वो भी हमारी गलती है. जैसे कि हम आ गए ना, ताला तोड़ के आ रहे हैं, तुम्हारा पागल के जैसी बात है. It's stupid. And you know, small things. Why don't you smile at people? I'm sorry, nobody in downtown Toronto smiles.
Yeah.
Nobody smiles. This is a small town thing. हम गांव में भी हंसते हैं एक दूसरे के साथ. इंडिया में
Yes.
जाओ भाई,
Yes.
100 किलोमीटर दूर जाओ, मुंबई से है एक वो गाय, वो हंसेगा, छोड़ो, तेरे को चाय भी पिला देगा वो घर पे. And this nonsense कि अरे why are you doing this, why are you doing that. अरे भाई, तेरे बाजू में नेबर मर जाता है इधर कनाडा में, तेरे को मालूम नहीं होता, उसका क्या. हमारे को पूरे 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 लेन की पंचायत होती है हमारे वहां पे, उसका क्या. अरे यार, एवरीथिंग इज अ प्रॉब्लम नाउ. हर
Yeah.
चीज में ये लोग को प्रॉब्लम करनी है पागल के जैसे. there has to be a limit of everything ना. एवरीथिंग. मुझे आज मेरी गाड़ी में कौवे ने टट्टी कर दी, मास इमिग्रेशन. अरे क्या ये. There has to
Well,
be a balance of
like I said,
something.
it's reached, you know, it's reached the seams now, and people are just, this is just how they are reacting. And I'm not justifying it. I'm just saying I see where they're coming from. I'm not talking about people who are like hardcore just racist. They're just saying this because they want to. But I'm saying like the common Canadians who wouldn't have said such things 5-10 years ago are starting to now just get upset. And on top of it, you know, with the state of the economy, the housing issue, hospitals, like look at the condition of the hospitals, healthcare is in really bad shape. I think all that is adding up now for people. And this is where we are today. And you know, what I realized in my conversations with all the speakers in the film, as you can see in the film, now I have like 12 hours of interview footage only. Obviously, we couldn't include all of it. But one thing I realized is that they're all very different in their viewpoints, their focuses are different. But the one thing, if you see, tied everyone together, I felt was they are all people, irrespective of their ethnicity, their background, their belief system. They all love this country. They are very upset about what's happening in this country. And, you know, even with different political choices for that matter, they hold, everyone holds the government accountable. If you, I don't know if you saw, that was the common theme. Everybody holds the government accountable for where we are at today. But I don't know what is being done as the next step. But these conversations have to happen. Because more this racism increase, the worse it's going to get. And we are seeing, like, we don't want situation to get worse than what it already is. So much chaos, like so much chaos. Canada, you know, that passport, the Canadian passport, people took pride in it. Okay. And look what it has become, like a laughing matter at the world stage now. I personally can only say, and I can't speak for others, but my family, my husband, we both had opportunities to move to the US. I've shared that with you. We got job offers to move to the US, bigger salaries, bigger houses, and we declined because we were not one of those who were like wanting to go to the US, but didn't happen. So, you know, Canada can be a backup plan. It was always our first choice. And we declined both those offers because what we loved about this country was, one, the people. We loved, you know, the everything about it, in the sense that no, there was gun control, the education system was good, the healthcare system was good. All that is gone. All that is gone now. How did that happen? I mean, it's this level of self-sabotage that this country has done.
No,
I feel.
I don't agree.
No?
And I'll show you a latest poll.
You'll show me statistics.
These so-called patriots, जान दे देंगे हम देश के लिए. ये है ये देश के जान देने वाले लोग. ये देखो. This was a poll done by Ipsos. 4 in 10, 43% Canadians age 18 to 34 would vote to be American if citizenship and conversion of assets to USA guaranteed. Do you know who are the Canadians who actually want to be Canadian and believe in a Canadian identity? Actually, or the Buddhas.
Oh. But that's what I said. That's my personal, that is me and how I think, right? Not people may not agree with
that.
Yeah,
you're one of those, right? You're one of those old school Canadians who actually believe that Canada is worth saving. Most young Canadians don't.
Yeah.
And most of these people are not the minorities. Let me tell you, per capita, the most patriotic would be these new immigrants. You'd be like, nahi, humko rehna hai, humko rehna hai, humko acha lagta hai. Because people don't realize at a fundamental level, secularization was fine. I am a secularist.
Yeah.
But postmodernism led to the destruction of patriotism and nationalism in the Western world at a rate which is uncontrollable. But these new immigrants don't come from postmodern societies. These new immigrants come from societies that are actually patriotic, that love their country. So they bring those ideas with them. So they love the new country that they come in. Guess who doesn't love the country? The old stock. Who's lived here, who has no patriotism. On average, the new immigrant is more patriotic than the other one. That's just a fact. And the numbers back me up. Nobody wants this uncomfortable truth shoved on their face. I can talk to all big content creators in Canada. Most of them, if given the opportunity, ये भाग जाएंगे अमेरिका. तुम और मेरे जैसे गधे रहेंगे इधर.
I know that's sad to hear, but yeah, it's the truth. We had the opportunity and we have.
And the same lot will say, you go back to India. मैं तो वापस भी चले जाऊं.
Yeah. I mean, India, if you see even Indian, people of Indian origin, no one talks about that anymore. But there is so many. I mean, I wish I had the list handy. I had started to make a list. So many people of Indian origin have contributed positively to this country, like be it in donations, in building hospital wings, and even if you see the mandirs and gurdwaras, the food that they donate, the food to the food banks and all, there's so much good that the community, it's washed away, it's forgotten. The only focus is, it's typical stereotypes of what do we call the 3 C's, I call them, the caste cow curry, like, oh, go back and you smell, and what is this?
No, just yesterday, you're aware, I was at this wonderful event. It's a charity event organized. So I just posted the photos before, we started talking.
Okay.
So my wife and I were there. The whole golf course was booked by Canada India Foundation yesterday. And, it's a charity golf event. And these are Canadians, right? These are Canadians. I saw all ethnicities over there, white, black, brown, all yellow people, all of them were there. So they organized this event and they donated to 2 people, right? A lot more money was raised, other 2, but the 2 that I personally felt, one was to the heroes of the Indian Defense Forces and one was to the Toronto RCASC. Now, for those who don't know what the RCASC is, it's basically the Royal Canadian Army Service Corps. Now, these are Indians, right?
Yeah.
Indians, right? Donating to the Canadian and Indian veterans, right? Caring deeply for them, right? They would never market these things because they thought we love Canada. But now, this time, believe me, CIF has still not shared it. I called them and I told them, send me the damn photos. At least let me share them.
Yeah.
Because our community is getting a shit bad name. And here we are donating so much money to these causes. And this is not a one-off thing. They do it every year. They do it every time. During COVID, the Sikh community, you're right, they stepped up.
Yes.
During the forest fires at Fort McMurray at that time, all our community stepped up.
Yeah.
BAPS does a lot of charity.
It does.
BAPS does a lot of charity.
Yeah. I know a lot of Hindu mandirs too, and we just don't advertise, like you say. We don't market these things. But there are hospital wings that a lot of Indians have donated to open. So, there's good and bad in every community, but all that good has been forgotten. That has been built over so many decades. And it's just all Indians. I think that's just how hate works, right? It's the price you pay for. When it comes to hate, there's no logic in that.
I can talk about it because he's no more, unfortunately. Ajit Someshwar, he passed away. He was on vacation in India last year. Ajit Bhai was one of those, fiery Indians. And he once told Justin Trudeau, I'm not making this up, this is a real story. Justin had called some Indians to meet. And Ajit Someshwar said, Justin, if you want Hindu Canadians to go back,
at least be more honest to us. Just
Mhm.
give me all the taxes that I paid, because I know the other side you're supporting, the extremists, they don't pay any taxes. So give me my taxes back. I'm more than happy to go back to India. And Justin was like, no, 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 no. There's a real story. I should not have shared it, but I am sharing it now. Ajit Someshwar, a
Mm.
successful Canadian of Indian origin. He's no more. He passed away. He said this straight to Justin Trudeau, to his face, inside the Prime Minister's office. And
Wow.
I'm very proud of Ajit Bhai that he said that. Somebody should have said that. And I think
And
a lot of us should speak up now,
and
because I've
that's the
personally had enough of it.
yeah. To what you just said too. Again, people don't even know the difference. Like this whole hate against India and Indians, but it's now even like starting to move towards specifically Hindus. And I'm not understanding that, because when it comes to India and Indians, it's not just Hindus from India. There are Christians in India, and there are Muslims in India, and so much of hate against specifically Hindus is I'm not understanding where that's coming from.
I don't know. I think people have realized it's a good way to make a quick buck on the internet. That's all it is.
Yeah.
You see, you want to criticize the Indians fairly. I'm game.
Yes.
I'm game. Go watch my entire content. Whether it's Indians in India, Indians outside India, I criticize. I'm pretty brutal.
Hmm.
Wait till read my previous book, read my current book. You will understand how critical I am of my own people. But the point is, I'm not going to take rubbish from someone where you yourself live in your ghetto and then you accuse the other person of living in a ghetto. Like this is just ridiculous. Like even in India, right? There are Gujarati areas, there are Jain
Yeah.
areas, there are non-Jain areas.
Yes.
Like why? Because a Jain person will stay in a Jain society because they're like, we can have our own little thing.
Yeah.
Because people and their views can't coincide on an absolute level.
Yeah.
Why are there streets where there are only gay pubs? Is that not ghettoization? Why? No, tell me. वो क्या वो Queen Street या कुछ है ना इधर?
Yeah.
है ना इधर टोरंटो में? क्यों है भाई? नहीं, हमको equal number of homo clubs चाहिए हर जगह में.
Mhm.
Every lane one homo club in Canada. Then I will say Canada has succeeded. Why do you think all gay clubs came in one street? It creates community. It creates
Yeah.
a safety net for them. And
Yeah.
also capitalism is wonderful. If five clubs of the same kind are there, business prospers because
Yeah.
more people can go there.
Yeah.
That's the reason. But hey, but before we wrap up, Sangita, what are the other projects you're going to be working on? And ऐसा कुछ और क्या काम करने वाली हो तुम जिससे और गालियां खाने का मजा आएगा?
I don't know if I work with you on something to गालियां मिलेगी, वरना my work though doesn't call for गालियां. It's very simple, safe. 2 more projects that were supposed to finish last year. I want to wrap those up and then start some new projects I have in mind in 2026 after I wrap these 2 outstanding projects up. But yeah, I was parallelly making another film while I was making this too, because it was a commitment, and that was again on education. So that's just wrapped up. It's just been non-stop, go. And this is, like I said, a lot of my firsts, because a topic that I was not comfortable with because I didn't know enough, and so I had to take a deep dive and research for 6 to 8 months. But it was also, if you see my past films, I prefer the 30-minute timeline. I like to make my films up to 30 minutes, and with this content being so good, so important, so critical, and so much footage, it ended up being 2 parts. I wanted to make it digestible for people because it was very heavy stuff, and it ended up being 54 minutes and 43 minutes. I don't usually make such long films, and every minute of editing you multiply that by the number of hours, right? So that's why it took so much longer too. I never used AI in the past. I'm still old school. I had to use a lot of AI for in this because I'm not going to obviously reveal private pictures and family pictures of speakers, right? We had no budget. Like I said, I tried to raise funds and raise zero funds. So originally I wanted to go with the cameras and record them in person, but with zero budget, we did it virtually, which I never do. So a lot of firsts in this film. I was really nervous when it was, and I never release on YouTube first. It always goes to film festivals. So it was interesting in that sense, and I was like, I don't know how it's going to be taken, our people, but I wish it would get more reach, honestly, Kushal, because not for me, I didn't make this film for any ulterior motive. I wish it would get more reach, and I'm really thankful to you, because being such a big social media influencer and your reach on social media, you have shared this film several times. And besides you, only a couple of other speakers in the film. It's been a little disappointing to see not even the speakers of the film have taken the time to spread the word. And I thought that every Canadian out there, especially if you're a social media influencer, you have, you should be sharing this film so that a conversation can start and people can start speaking. With the messages that I'm getting from the little reach it has had, has been amazing. People saying that we didn't know a lot of these things. These are Canadians from 2-3 generations living here. And it's not just Indo-Canadians who are reaching out. I have friends, by the way, who are not Indo-Canadians. I have friends who are from different ethnicities, and they have reached out saying they never
Yeah,
knew.
it's actually funny. Every time I've gone to any event of yours, I've seen more non-Indian like
Yes.
than Indians.
Yes. And they've reached out to me and said, wow, like we didn't know so many of these things. So that says to me that this has to reach more people. And if you were a speaker in the film, would you not want to share it? Like I don't know, I cannot wrap my head around it. I don't know what to make of it. I will not make a judgment call. I guess it is what it is. Like I said, some people are not the same when it comes privately or publicly, and I'm glad I'm not one of them. I am, what you see is what you get. But yeah, I'd encourage others who are listening to your podcast, spread the film for us, because I wish it gets more reach. And ask those questions. Reach out to your local, if you're a Canadian, reach out to your local councillors, your local politicians, ask them the questions, hold them accountable.
Yeah, so how about this? I'm going to put this up on the screen, guys. This is the link. Go on YouTube. First of all, subscribe to Metal Films, all of you. If you don't subscribe, तुमको पाप लगेगा और तुमको पता नहीं वो इंडिया से जो स्ट्रे डॉग इधर आएगा वो काट लेगा.
Hey, let's not talk about stray dogs. You and I.
Anybody who goes on Sangita's timeline, you'll be like, ये वाली मैडम कुत्ता बिल्ली का बहुत इशू डालती है.
Honestly, that's why I came on social media. My love for animals.
Yeah, so go subscribe to Metal Films, the YouTube channel, right away. अगर नहीं करोगे तो पाप चढ़ेगा तुम सबको लान के. So and honestly, it's good work. See, I'm not saying this because Sangita is my friend. In fact, Sangita has never Sangita is probably my closest friend in Canada, but she barely comes on my podcast. She has complete access. She can just pick up the phone, tell me anytime, but I never she's never done that, and I have never called her other than once when we had announced that she's making the documentary months ago, last year.
Yeah.
And now that it is complete, other than that, Sangita has never come, or once she had come for other than that for a brief appearance. But it's a really well done film. So let me share a few things. I have seen Sangita work hard, like stay up hours at night because the editors were in India, and then stay up in the morning, make preparation for the documentary in the day, and then stay up in the night, work with the editors again in India. It's painstaking work, and I think it's the most balanced take on this entire mass immigration issue as far as this entire thing is concerned. Everything she did was out of her own pocket. It's not like you make any money. The least we can do as Indo-Canadians is actually watch something like this. You may disagree with a lot of takes of different speakers in the movie, so you can write your take in the comment section, and that feedback will be read by the speakers of the movie too. But my whole take is that if we don't even appreciate good work done by our people, then we can't whine that हमारे लोगों का नाम खराब होता है. Seriously guys, like तुम लोग देखोगे भी नहीं और फिर बोलोगे. So once again, go subscribe to Metal Films, follow Sangita on X. All the links are there in the description of the podcast also. So if you can at least start here. Baki, Sangita, is there any way if people wanted to donate to Metal Films? Is there any way?
Yes, we've put a link on our social media handles at Metal Films. We've put the information there to donate. If they wish to donate, we would really appreciate that. And no amount is small. I always tell people it could be, anything and everything. Every bit, every drop in the ocean counts. So,
okay, I found it. So good.
Quick,
I'll just share
okay.
the image over here. So
Thank
if
you.
you are in Canada and you want to support Metal Films and the work Sangita does here, you see this QR code. and you can e-transfer to metalfilmscanada@gmail.com. So agar kar sakte ho, karo. I think you guys should support this work. कम से कम मैं बोल रहा हूँ, कुछ तो शर्म करो, नहीं तो मैंने बोला तुमको काट लेगा कोई. And listen, I only do these things is because I actually strongly believed in it, and I was so happy that Sangita made this movie. I am not saying it to please her, because that's the last thing I do. I don't please people. I am only born to annoy people. So Sangita, once again, thank you for all the work you've done, and this is a wonderful movie. I told you personally when I watched it, of all the work I've seen, this was my favorite.
Yes.
And I told you. So keep doing all the good work, and 4 dog videos come dalna abhi next time Twitter.
That's not happening, but thank you for having me, Kushal. It means a lot. Thank you for the support you've shown. I really appreciate it.
All right, guys, take care. We'll wrap up. Once again, reminder, follow Sangita Iyer on X. The handle is there in the description. Subscribe to Metal Films. Watch both the parts. Give them honest feedback. Give them honest feedback about how you feel as an Indo-Canadian in the comment section. Also, if you want to support the Cārvāka podcast, you know the drill. Either through one-time donations, or by joining the membership program, or by buying the merch, or by buying my books. If you can't do any of that, at least like this video, subscribe to the Cārvāka podcast YouTube channel, leave a comment in the comment section. If you really feel that you hate Indians, I would appreciate it if you start hating me in the comment section. That's a great place to start hating me, right there in my comment section. I would really appreciate. Maybe I will read all the hate over there, and we'll see who gets the award for the best hater. Take care. I'll see you guys next time.